Well, hey guys, welcome to the Culture Maker podcast. Great to have you with me. This is the podcast that's all about helping dads lead well at home. And today I want you to meet shame. No, not a guy called Shane, but a thing called shame. It's not a thing we talk about much, but it's hiding in our homes and it's affecting our leadership. And today we're going to meet shame and it's going to change the way we lead. I think this is going to be a really good episode, so let's get into it. At age 20, Jack's father told him he'd never amount to anything. That was the day he decided to make his own way. Walking away from the family business, he'd become his own man. Knowing he'd never be good enough for his father, Jack kept telling himself that he needed to keep himself safe by creating a distance in the relationship, a detachment that his father never really understood. Jack, now 45 years old, still carries his father's words in his mind. They ring clear as the day they were said to him, but somehow they remain hidden in the distance between them. We carry shame with us like that, and the voices of those closest to us. To keep ourselves safe, we create a gap between us, between those who should actually be closest to us. You're nothing like your sister, said her father. At this age, your sister was doing the dishes and cleaning the house and actually making a difference around here. Katie was aware her parents were comparing her to her sister, but until today, it had never been said out loud. Now that the words were said, they shouted, "You're not good enough, and we don't accept you." Katie determined that day to never be like her sister. She'd be her, even if that meant sort of casting aside all the values and beliefs of her family. Who cares, she thought. Her parents obviously didn't. Shame is tricky like that. It's often used as a parenting tool to get change, but all it gets is pain. "Tidy your bloody room," his mother said. "You're such a mess and you sleep in all day. How on earth are you going to make anything of yourself if you just can't even get out of bed in the morning?" "Sorry," said Nick. "I didn't know I had to get my room cleaned this morning. I thought we had nothing on." "Well, I told you last week I wanted your room cleaned, but you never listen. You just sit there on your screen doing who knows what." And the lecture went on and on. The fourth lecture that week. Nick had actually been up since 7 that morning creating his own app, a game he thought would change the world, or at least be fun to play with his mates. He had a passion for computers and technology, one his mum didn't understand or relate to. His mother didn't think very highly of the things he thought highly of. Nick was going out that afternoon to hang out with his mates. Kids his mum didn't like. His mother couldn't understand why Nick's friends were such losers, not realising that her lectures kept his self-worth well in check. That's what shame does. It makes us feel not enough. It makes us feel worth less than we are. Shame gets in the way of seeing ourselves how we should be seen, valued and valuable. Shame is not something we really think about though, right? We never say to ourselves, "I feel shame." Shame is actually a word that describes a whole heap of other emotions, like not being enough or not being seen or not being heard or not being understood. Author Kurt Thompson, in his book The Soul of Shame, says that shame is a sense that not only do I feel bad, but that I am bad. And so we don't go around saying we feel shame or we are ashamed. We don't think, "Oh, I'm full of shame," or "my child is feeling shame," because shame hides behind a bunch of other different emotions. Shame is actually the thing that drives people into isolation. It's the reason, men, that you withdraw from your partner. Because often you're not feeling heard or understood, or she's making you feel bad. And so not only does shame hide behind a bunch of other different emotions, shame actually makes us hide as well. And the same applies to your kids. If there's a distance between you and them, shame is the thing that stands in that distance. Now, most of us just rock on, ignoring that gap, thinking it will go away, or ignoring it because you just don't know how to make it go away. And this is the problem, because shame reduces the effectiveness of your leadership. Your leadership is actually limited by your shame. Shame is the limiter of how well you lead. You might think you're a great leader, but if your leadership is delivered with harsh words or a harsh tone, or it's cynical or critical or controlling, if it's fueled by alcohol, if your leadership lacks a bright vision and a big belief in your kids, then your leadership is limited by shame. The people around you will feel the shame of your leadership, and it will cause them to guard and to protect themselves from you. For most of us, we don't see it, we don't even really feel it, because shame does hide. It just makes our partner and our kids hide from us, and we don't even often know it. We know it affects us, of course. For some of you men, your partner is a master of making you feel shame. Your life feels vacant of respect. Your mates feel not good enough all the time, and it drives you into isolation. It moves you towards addiction, and it makes you angry. And an angry, addicted, isolated dad is not leading. And in that home, everyone's losing. This is why shame doesn't work as a leadership mechanism. Your partner isn't winning by making you feel shame. She's losing, and so are you. And you don't win by making your kids feel shame. You're losing. You're losing them one shameful moment after another. Now, plenty of homes are full of shame and still carry on. As Kurt Thompson says, shame hides in the shadows of what we call normal life. I'll say that again. Shame hides in the shadows of what we call normal life. We think it's normal to offend each other a lot of the time. We think it's normal not to be able to talk about things in our family. And whilst that might not be normal for a lot of people, that's not a happy family culture, and it does not raise happy children. If we want to do that, we must lead, and we must learn to lead with less shame. And that's the challenge of a dad who wants to create a healthy culture. We need to lead more by shaming less. So Dad, here's the thing. I think our culture is facing a pandemic of shame. New Zealand is just out of control in this. We lead the world with our youth suicide rates. And when I mean lead, it's not just by a margin, it's like by almost 50%. We're just so far ahead of the developed world with our youth suicide rates. Well done, New Zealand. And the rate of youth suicide, it's increasing at an alarming rate. These also in terms of not just suicide, but the actual hospitalisation for mental health treatment for youth, that's just off the charts. It's being described as a tsunami. Antidepressants have been handed out to 0 to 19-year-olds at an alarming rate, and that's increasing like 21% per year of the last little bit. Hospital wait times for mental health-related issues are just off the charts. People, we're in trouble. Our families are not okay. And here's the thing. Shame has to be seen to be soothed. It doesn't just go away. Ignoring it doesn't make it better. And unless the things in our life that are causing us shame are seen and heard and understood by our partner, by one another, by someone at least, we carry that shame, and it just creates a bigger and bigger gap between us and others. That's true for us, and it's true for our kids. But if you're not saying sorry and talking things through, then there will be an increasing gap between you and your kids, and your leadership will become less and less effective. If we're going to fix what's broken in our homes, we need to soothe the shame in our own lives first. We kind of need to see what's going on in our own world. And while we're doing that, we also need to learn to tame the shame in our leadership so that we can be men that our kids can talk to. Now, I know this has kind of got all serious all of a sudden, and that a lot of your homes are actually fairly free of pain. Your kids aren't going off to get treatment for anxiety, and your kids aren't on antidepressants. But no home is free of shame. And I know even in my home, and I'm like super tuned to the stuff, even in my home, I fight a battle with shame. I have to be very conscious of the shame in my kids' lives. I think devices, the mobile phones and iPads and all the devices are a key part of this. I do. We're no longer connecting like we used to. And I think whilst the content on our kids' devices is a problem, Maybe the bigger problem is the lack of connection that the devices create, where we're all more connected, supposedly, but not in ways that allow us to process our pain or share our shame. And a father's job is to protect our families. And so we need to work to create cultures that allow our kids to do that, to process their shame. We need to be dads that our kids can talk to. And at the very least, we need to be fathers that are not filling our homes with more shame and more pain. So let's get to it, dads. If we want to do that, if we want to lead better at home, then this is where we start. We lead more by shaming less. If you want to lead better at home, it starts by limiting the shame in your leadership. And dads, whether you're married, separated, or divorced, we can all lead with less shame and build healthy relationships with our kids. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, rather than leaving you some tips here that you're probably going to forget, I want to encourage you, I've set something up that I think is pretty cool. I want to encourage you to head to culturemaker.org. That's my website, culturemaker.org. You can head there and just find shame under the coaching menu, or you can go directly to culturemaker.org/shame and sign up for my free 7-email coaching series called The Shame in Our Leadership. This free coaching email series will help you see the 7 shames of our leadership, and it will help you lead more with less shame. So, if when you say no to your child or try to implement boundaries and you're worried that you're going to psychologically harm your kids, sign up for the shame in your leadership to see how we really harm our kids. And if you live at home with your kids and things are pretty good, but you want to lead better, you just want to lead where it matters, I think you'll enjoy the Shame in Our Leadership coaching series. It's completely free, and it's a setup to help you if you're divorced or separated or wonder what you need to do better. Then there probably is nothing better than signing up to the coaching series today at culturemaker.org. So, but hey, if you're not going to do that, I just want to leave you with one final thought. I want you to remember that shame is every parent's problem. It's present in every home. If there's a gap between you and your partner, or you and your child, standing right there in that gap is shame. They'll be feeling shame from you. And that shame won't just go away. It needs to be seen to be soothed, which requires you, the leader, to lead and to say sorry and engage and listen and hear and start to see their heart. So let's get to it, dads. Let's start on the journey of creating healthier cultures for our kids. I hope that's been helpful. Any questions, yell out, and I look forward to seeing you next time.